Wow, we're live. That was incredible. I'm Mitch Michals, new to the game. Nigel Seeley. We are on Betting Weekly Tennis Live. This was all put together by the beautiful people at Bet Rivers. We were talking tennis, Monte Carlo Masters, a lot of live bets, a lot of action. Nigel Seeley, the man of the hour, joining me on this show. Nigel, you prepped me for that intro, but now I'm pumped up, ready to talk tennis.
Do you know what, Mitch? I thought I was back in a nightclub in Ibiza in 1993. My youth was coming back. I was dancing away there, and it was amazing. Good to see you. I'm looking forward to this. It should be good fun. Looking forward to it.
It's going to be great fun, and you can never, starting a new show is always great. We love tennis betting. We love the opportunity. The Monte Carlo Masters is the perfect place to start because we have the dying days. There's only 2 tournaments left that are 1 week, essentially. Masters 1000s. It's that and the Paris indoors. So Monday, start of a tournament where it's usually some slower matches. We got heavy hitters on the court right now. We've got a lot of exciting matches, and we've got some action in play. Some of the handicappers have done great work. We've got a lot to discuss, and let's get right into it, I think.
Well, I think the big thing we've got to say, Mitch, is the pros and cons of in-play betting. 5 minutes before we were just about to go live, we had a real tasty match with Medvedev against Khachanov, didn't we? It was like virtually Khachanov, Khachanov had an injury timeout. He come back, he won the second set, and all of a sudden I thought, this is perfect, let's go live. It's a 50-50 call, but Medvedev has broken him early, and now Bet Rivers a very, very short price favourite for the Russian to beat not only his fellow countryman, but his friend as well. Medvedev is minus 590 in play with Bet Rivers now. Khachanov is plus 390. The state of play as Medvedev has taken an early break in the third set. It's 1 settle and 2 love. The total games is the interesting one, I suppose, from a money perspective. 30.5 is the line and 3.5 is the spread. But really, when we first started off, I thought, hang on a minute, we've got a really good game here. Khachanov is doing what Khachanov does, Mitch. It's literally like it's a winner or an unforced error. He's going for it. He's going for his shots.
Yeah.
Medvedev is moving all over the court, and it's a slow night today. But Khachanov is hitting through the court at the moment with these big shots. If they come in, he's got a great chance here in play. We want him because Sean Calvert is on a clean sweep if we can get Khachanov from here. But head across to the Bet Rivers website now, the app. It's an interesting match. We need, I still think there's a bit more life in this match.
I think so too, because it probably could have been over already. There was opportunities for Medvedev, and then Khachanov gets back, and then blows it away at the end there. But these two play weird matches. Medvedev on the clay is always an interesting one to see what he's like. But I thought it was interesting, Nigel. He said, "Look, I thought the hard courts in the U.S. were so slow. This isn't that bad for me." So maybe it's a new Daniil Medvedev. Or maybe you just don't believe what he says.
I don't believe a word he says. I think he's the king of mind games. He said that Indian Wells was quick. He said Miami was slow, and now I think he'll tell you whatever he wants to tell you when Medvedev is doing badly, and he'll tell you whatever he wants to tell you when he's doing well. But he looks a little bit, Khachanov is the player who's had the injury timeout, but Medvedev is huffing and puffing here, and he's a player that he's now hitting unforced errors. 15-40 in play now, and I was here last year in Monte Carlo. And I watched this match they played last year in Monte Carlo, and Khachanov blew him away.
He did.
And there's signs here that this is not over from a betting perspective. And currently with Bet Rivers now, you can bet on the break point, and we're going to see what but you're looking live now, right now. Plus 225 Khachanov, minus 315 Medvedev. But at the moment, Medvedev looks the one who isn't the fittest player, despite Khachanov having the injury timeout.
If you want to get in on live betting strategies going forward, I know you guys are the experts, but Medvedev's serve has been progressively worse this year as opposed to last year. I think it's the reason why his ranking's down. So there's going to be live bet opportunities because he's getting broke more. So you're finding value. We'll see what happens here. What about the other match going on, Nigel? Ben Shelton was up early. It looked good. He was rolling in the first set. It's going away quickly. It might be over before I finish this sentence, but Fokina has just turned the match around. It is almost at the finish line.
Well, Davidovich Fokina lost the first set 7-6. He was a very heavy favourite, despite Shelton being the higher ranked player. The clay would obviously suit the Spaniard. He's a former finalist here. Ben Shelton has come across from the American clay across here, very, very different. But he's now 5-1 up. Davidovich Fokina serving for the match. But if any player in the world of tennis can blow it from here, Davidovich Fokina would be in the top 5 of the players that I would think could potentially blow it from this position. But hopefully not, because I actually bet him this morning on the money line, and I took a little bit more when he lost the first set, hoping for him to come back. He's one of our picks to win the tournament with Sean on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, 100-1. not really because we think that there is, you know, a huge, you know, it's more to do with the bracket. The bracket is quite fair, and I think that's the reason why we've done it. Davidovich Fokina could beat himself up in the telephone box. He's that kind of guy. So you know, at the moment now it's 5-1. It's pretty much over from a betting perspective. But all the eyes on this all Russian battle now. Khachanov is going for absolutely everything, and he's got a break point up. And you know, I got a sneaky feeling that Khachanov could edge this. He's got a second win since the injury time's come out. Funny how do you approach betting when a physio comes on the court? Because I always think the market just goes completely wild.
It does, and
sometimes it's relevant.
There's a cop out there that I'm going to give, but it is a real answer. You have to kind of be watching the match. You can't be scrolling at your phone looking at it because there's tactics and there's real issues, right? And I hate to say it, but there are times when you just need that mental break where, okay, get me the physio, let me regroup. I don't necessarily think that it's an automatic death sentence. Bringing the physio up means you're losing. And sometimes look who's playing across the net, right? As Medvedev gets broke. Yeah. Shout out to her comments there for letting us know here live. But I think that there is tough times for players to react to that. They're in rhythm. Maybe that disrupts your rhythm, and then you don't know what to do. I think it's funky. I also think it can also lead to some clashes at the net. So we'll see.
But I've seen so many times where players have just the market has just collapsed in terms of the player, and then he's gone on this unbelievable run. And Khachanov has just literally done that from 4-1 down in set 2. Taken the injury time out. It's quite a cold day. It's quite chilly. Yeah. Medvedev is not happy, and all of a sudden he's got to come back. You know, he's probably thinking, "Hang on a minute," and all of a sudden he's gone on it, and he's now in a position to go with serve. I mean, I think it's one thing I would always say about tennis betting. I believe that sometimes the market just gets carried away when they call the trainer on. It's incredible, but we'll see what happens in the next one. I'll give you some in-play betting here, Mitch, before we move on to plus 140 Khachanov now. This is a good time to get involved because it's a break in the.
Yeah, what's the number, Nigel? What's the number that you think the value is lost on Khachanov? Because I agree, I think this is a good time to get in, but when does it get to a point where you think, okay, not enough value?
Well, pre-match he was plus 110. It's one settle. He's now going with serving set number 2. He's plus 140. Obviously, you always want to be with the player serving first in the final set. I think that's obviously the huge advantage, and that's his negative here. But I think if Khachanov holds his serve in this match, in this next game, and then he stays as a dog, that's when I'll bet him. Okay. When the pressure's on Medvedev to serve. But at plus 140 now, I think it's probably the right price. If Khachanov holds his serve here and goes 2-2 and then puts the pressure on Medvedev, then I would bet him, because I still think he'd be the dog. I think plus 110, but I think the market should probably make it a pick and match.
These two have known each other. They played a lot of matches, grown up together. Very, very interesting. But yeah, I think the smartest thing there was don't believe anything Medvedev says. Just forget it.
Yeah, and Khachanov, and just breaking news, Davidovich Fokina did hold on. Lost the first set 6-7, won 6-2, 6-1. He is now through to the round number 2, where he'll take on the winner of the match between Etcheverry and Mute. That takes the day today to 6 favourites and 6 dogs today. 12 matches, 6 favourites, 6 dogs. If you bet the dogs blind, you're making a lot of money because there's been some big dogs. And this is a tournament where there is always the favourites do exceptionally well. The dogs do not have their day here in Monte Carlo, but today so far, if you bet all the dogs, you'll be in profit.
That's a great point, because the favorites do well here, except Novak Djokovic has struggled a lot. So like you have this weird thing where a lot of the favorites win, but maybe not the favorites that you think. Well, I'm excited to see where this goes. We were talking about some plays and what looked good, but Nigel, I want to start with that today. We've got a day of action in the books. Who looked good? What were some of the best players we're looking to back? Based on what you saw today, I mean, we have our pre-favorites and what we thought, but who stood out to you on the screen as someone that you think open your eyes and can go the distance?
Well, I think it's very hard because it's the round 1 and the players then come in to see the seeded players. I think tomorrow's the more eye test to see how the players done. But the Gael Monfils train just keeps running, doesn't it? I mean, I was at Miami and we was on the main court, and he was like literally a long way, and you could hear the cheers from the Gael Monfils court. The farewell tour, the way that he was exceptional to go against Marijan, who is a player that I thought could do some damage this week. but Monfils was absolutely brilliant. He's got the crowd behind him everywhere he goes. It's exceptional. And over in, which is, it's in Monte Carlo, but essentially it's between Italy and France. You can have a huge amount of support. I think he's going to take some real stopping, and he plays Andrey Rublev in the next round. Now, if there is any player in the world who can fold under the atmosphere here, that is Andrey Rublev.
Who's lost early. He has got a lot of early tournament losses. Monfils is exceptional. We followed his career the whole time. For all the flash and excitement that he has, he is a very smart veteran tennis player. I was in person for the Korda match in India Wells, the one that he won, and Korda was out hitting him. He had the momentum, and Monfils just found a way. So I'm with you there. He stood out. He was also wearing the long sleeve shirt. You're right. It's cold out there.
It's cold out there. It's going to get a little bit warmer. I'm going on Wednesday. And luckily enough, Wednesday, the weather gets a little bit hotter. But today, there's a lot of people in jackets. I'm looking at the TV screen now. Everyone's in their jackets, and it is a bit chilly. So it's going to be play it slow. But Wednesday, the weather gets a little bit better, a little bit warmer. It's a lot slower than it's a lot slower this year, and it's a lot cooler than what it has been in the last couple of years. But I remember going to Queen's Club many years ago. I must have been about. It just shows you how long Gael Monfils has been around. I was a young journalist working in London, and I started in that job when I was about 17. I was 18. I was probably about 24, 25. And I watched a game on one of the outside courts, and Gael Monfils played. And this guy was a tennis expert, and he said, this guy he's got every shot. He the potential to be the #1 player in the world, but he didn't think he had it in the head, and I think he's absolutely spot on there. I think that technically, in the ability of him, and the ability hasn't slowed down. Yeah. So, I think he to me was the takeout today. I thought he was absolutely exceptional. Daniil, I thought 2-1 this morning to beat Felix Auger-Aliassime was a massive price on clay. He will play Richard Gasquet. That'll be incredible. And if Gasquet can get through that, there was a potential of Gasquet playing Carlos Alcaraz, which would be another one, in his farewell tour. So it's I think tomorrow's the eye test, though, Mitch. We'll see how things go tomorrow.
We were looking too, and Khachanov, he flashed after he held at negative odds for a second. He's still slight favorite. Looks like Medvedev is going to hold to go up 3-2. So we're still monitoring that one because it's very close, right? The time to kind of get in this match is now. There's so much to like about this tournament. I did want to highlight, Nigel, one of our comments in the section. Do you find it early, or do you find it harder or easier to bet on early clay season? Because there is that perception that, people ramp up. The top contenders are ramping up. Rome, final stop before RG. But do you find it harder or easier when we get into the start of clay season, Monte Carlo?
My problem, Mitch, is over the years that I think when I first started betting on tennis, that was back in sort of like 1991, 1992, there was players who just could not play on clay. Mm-hmm. And there was players that just didn't have the ability to play on grass, and it was so easy to bet. You would have the world number 32 from Chile.
I was going to say
Marcelo Rios.
This guy.
But or Marcelo Rios or someone like that going to Wimbledon. Yeah. They would play like the English number 4, the British number 4 guy, and the market would be 5-1, 4-1. The English guys brought up at Wimbledon, he'd win. And you go to clay. Mm-hmm. Tim Henman was always someone that I would always fade on clay. And then one year he got to the semi-finals of the French Open. I think he did. He beat Courier, or he beat somebody. I can't. Mm-hmm. But I think it was easier then. I think now that all these players can mix it up on any surface. I think the days of having a out and out clay court specialist and having a grass court specialist is long gone. But there are a few. I think Felix Auger-Aliassime is always a fade whoever he plays. Ben Shelton is always a fade whoever he plays. Jack Draper, I believe, will be a fade whoever he plays on clay. And likewise, there'll be players who come on grass. So I try to stick to those players that I know can't produce the goods on the slower surface. And especially weathers like this. When the weather's like this, it makes it impossible. When it's sunny and it's quite good, it's a little bit quicker. But on this kind of surfaces, you want the traditional clay quarters.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I do think, just to add to it, grass, there's just so little tennis that eventually it comes together quickly. Like players they figure it out in 1 year because, there isn't the lead up to it. But I'm excited to see where this goes. This match is incredible that we're going on right now. We're on serve 3-2. Medvedev's still 2-1, which I don't know. I don't know if that's where I would go there, where we're sitting. But exciting to see the seeds come into action tomorrow, too, as we continue on here.
Yeah, I mean, the Medvedev is now, minus 205 now. If you want to watch the match, if you haven't watched the match, you can download the Bet Rivers app. You'll be able to watch the match, have a bet. But I do think he's got the reason the market is always like this is because he's serving first. If Khachanov was serving first, I think this would be, it would obviously be a lot closer. But I just there's, if you're watching this match now, Khachanov looks a lot fitter. To me, he looks. But you know what he's like. He's going to either hit 4 straight winners, or he's going to hit 4 straight unforced errors.
Yeah.
He's going to hit lines, or he's going to hit people in row Z. That's how he plays. Is that how he plays?
And Medvedev, for all his ups and downs, has figured out a way in his career to win these matches. Doesn't look good, craziness going on, upset, but he just finds a way to win. So that's part of it. There is actually one more match later that's coming up. And I want to mention it just because we have a defending champion, Fabio Fognini. We haven't seen him in a while. Huge underdog, sizable, plus 540, taking on Francisco Cerundolo. On the clay, Cerundolo can spank his forehand, absolutely crush it. So any play, any reads on this one or final match of Monday?
Well, I mean, the market is actually taking a bit of Fabio Fognini. If you look at Bet Rivers, the market today, there has been a little bit of money for the Italian here. But I think that's people dreaming fairy tales for people who still believe in Santa Claus, I think they're just hoping for a little bit of a fight, a bit of Fognini spirit. But I think it's going to be very, very hard for him to replicate this. And also, I got a feeling here that the timing isn't going to be right. I mean, Monte Carlo is a place at, what's the time going to be when they go on court? It's going to be 7 o'clock at night. People are much more concerned about going on Instagram, driving their Ferraris, or having a nice bit of lunch in a very exclusive restaurant rather than watching the tennis. You can see now there's hardly anybody there. When that game comes on, I think it's going to be very, very quiet, and I don't think that's going to help the Fognini factor here. Cerundolo's playing exceptionally well, and he's a real contender this week. I think if he can get through this match, he'll give Carlos Alcaraz a real test. I think it will be competitive set number 1, but I would expect Cerundolo to show his class here and get past Fognini. Fognini, the matches he has played in Challenger level, Marrakesh was very, very disappointing. In Challenger level, he got beat in the first round of tournaments, and he's been really poor. Lost in qualifying as well in Indian Wells. He hasn't played. I can't remember the last time he played in the first round of a ATP Tour event.
I know.
It's a long, long time. And I think I think if we played this game at lunchtime, first game on court with a packed house, Fognini would do Fognini things, but I'm not sure at the moment.
It's just like the Masters, where I know it's Masters week, but like he's a defending champion. He just gets to play. Like it's, because I'm with you. Like the eye test says Cerundolo should win this going away, given the weapons that he has. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's the odds are very, very, very short, aren't they, on Cerundolo? He's a very, very heavy favourite. He's like minus 770 and 540 for Fognini. 5.5 is the spread. Perhaps I tell you what I would probably do, Mitch, if I was looking at it. 19.5 games. Maybe keep it competitive. Set 1, 7-5, and then I would expect. But 19.5 games could be a little bit of interest on the overs, but I think there's a lot better betting opportunities to have rather than that match tonight.
There certainly are. Tomorrow's slate 2 is we're going to keep tabs here on this wonderful show. We're betting weekly live tennis. It's Mitch Michals, Nigel Seeley, all part of the Bet Rivers Network. Follow us on social at Because We Win. There's going to be big. We got the comment in the section from our producer, Troy, almost $2,900 pre-match bet on Medvedev. So somebody's having a stressful either evening or morning in the States. I don't know.
He'll be quite happy because Medvedev has just broken to go 4-2, and that's the advantage of serving first. Because if you hold your serve here, you're 5-2 up, and you've got 2 shots of winning. It's the amount of times, Mitchell. I remember the first rule of betting that I ever had in tennis betting was someone said to me, always get with the people serving first. There'll be occasions where you shouldn't, but it is a psychological advantage. Serve first in the final set.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see because already 450 is what Khachanov is now. Can Medvedev consolidate that break? We'll update. Some good matches coming up on the slate. We've got the big showdowns. The top seeds are playing their first matches. There's a few others that I wanted to get to. A player that I thought looked good, was watching his match this morning on the West Coast before we started, was Matteo Berrettini. I think on clay, he won the title last year, and I think on the surface leading up to it, won a bunch of titles. He gets Zverev coming up. And I don't know what Berrettini's clay betting's value is. I'm going to ask you that question, Nigel. But Zverev, who is kind of lacking a little confidence at the time, gets Berrettini could be a trap, or do you see Zverev just handling business?
Well, I wouldn't bet Zverev against anybody the way he's playing at the moment. I think he's the number one seed. And every time I see the bracket come out and see Zverev a number one seed, I always can't believe that. It's like, how can he be number one when you've got Alcaraz and Djokovic in the draw? How can he be number one? I'm always afraid of Zverev. What I do like, Mitch, is when you see players like this, Berrettini, who plays well today, who will play well in the clay court swing, I think their game is right. And my first attitude would be straight away to look at them for Wimbledon, because we know that if he's playing well on this stuff, then we know these games in right. If he's fit, then at Wimbledon, a couple of years ago, he was a clear second favourite to win Wimbledon behind Novak Djokovic. And currently with Bet Rivers, Berrettini's 40-1 to win Wimbledon. And when you consider that Jack Draper is 8-1 to win Wimbledon,
I mean, that's crazy.
If the two of them played in the quarterfinal at Wimbledon, I think you'd be 50-50 shout, or maybe even favourite Berrettini.
How about last year? He loses the Yannick Sinner in round 2. I think you could make an argument that Berrettini was a top 7-8 player in that whole tournament on grass. He just kind of got screwed over by the draw. I think that was what happened, and he's got his ranking up higher. I think he's gonna. I'm with you there on grass. Like we said, few players have actually proven to it. He has actually gone to a Wimbledon final. So,
I just like watching players. Whenever I watch clay, I don't necessarily. I think the trouble is the French Open market is so dominated by the top players. So we go into the French Open and think, Carlos Alcaraz is going to be the favourite. Obviously, no Sinner. Carlos Alcaraz is going to be very hard to beat. I can't see Djokovic winning Wimbledon, winning the French Open. But when I see players who I look at Wimbledon getting to the last 16, beating players they shouldn't beat on clay, I think to myself, you know what? Their game is prime for Wimbledon. And Berrettini could be that guy. If he has a good clay court season, he's not going to win this tournament. He could beat Zverev. But if he beats Zverev on clay, suddenly someone at Bet Rivers will notice that and see his line go from 40-1 to 16-1. So I always try to get those futures before the market goes away.
You have to do it. And in that same vein, I want to mention too, biggest part of the show, arguably, everyone's looking forward to the daily double. What we're looking at, I know tomorrow's a big one. There's a big opportunity there. And look, we're also proving, right, with these picks I'm going to tee you up for, Nigel. It's not about what happened last week. We're on to the new week. There's a new tournament, new event. There's a lot of miles that have to be traveled. So with that, looking at the daily double, who you got your eyes on tomorrow?
Well, usually what we're going to do here is we're going to put the daily double up, and hopefully we talk about the matches that are going on. So sometimes time restraints obviously mean we have to look at tomorrow's matches, and this is what we're going to do here. Khachanov has got a break point here against Medvedev, so there's a lot more life going on if he takes this. He's hitting shots here, Mitch. You won't believe. I don't know if you can watch it with the corner of your eye, but he's absolutely hitting shots. Medvedev hit the first serve into net. Anyway, I'm stalling about my my daily double tomorrow. But I love to fade people who've had a big week the week before going into a new surface. Now, there's two players, and Khachanov's broken him straight away. So back to 4-3, back on serve. So we've got chances here. So I like to fade players who have a big week the week before going into a new surface. And obviously, this is the first proper European clay event. It's going to take time to adjust. Francis Tiafoe just played in the final last night against Jenson Brooksby. He's got to travel all the way across from Houston, across to Monte Carlo, which is going to, what's that, 12 hours?
Easily, yeah. He's probably in the air right now.
Yeah. He's got to come down. And he's got to play Kecmanovic tomorrow. And I think Kecmanovic will beat Francis Tiafoe. I think Francis Tiafoe's clay season starts next week. Once he's based in Europe, I don't think for 1 minute that he's going to think he's got any chance of. He's not going to really be bothered about that. I think he's going to come over and think, okay, the build up to the French. I'm going to miss this tournament. I think Kecmanovic wins. And the other bet I like is Lajovic to beat Cobolli. Lajovic is
Monte Carlo finalist. Yeah.
Monte Carlo finalist. I know Cobolli won the tournament last week in Bucharest, but it was a big tournament for him because his form has been absolutely dreadful. Going into that tournament, he won 4 matches on clay. He really rode his luck in the first round against Richard Gasquet. Gasquet should have beaten him. But Lajovic has come through qualification here. He's had 2 matches on Monte Carlo, and he's beat Bublik and he's beat Laszlo Djere. And they are they're big scalps. And to be able to play 2 matches in Monte Carlo and then play a player who's had such a massive high, it'll be an outside court. I can't imagine. Cobolli will be very heavily supported because geographically from Italy to Monte Carlo, it's very close to it. The Italian support here is amazing. Yep. But I do think he's vulnerable against a former finalist here. And if you follow head-to-heads, they've met once before. And Lajovic did beat him on clay. It was in Umag last year, and he won 7-6, 7-6. So I think the 2 players who did really well last week in Cobolli and Tiafoe are vulnerable. And that daily double for tomorrow plays plus 212 with Bet Rivers. And I think that's a nice price. You're a bit bigger than 2-1. You can see my thoughts going against it. What do you think?
I like it. And Cobolli, just a stat for you. He's 7-9 on the year. He was actually 1-9 in his last 10 before kind of going on that little run to win the title. So is it a flash in the pan? Did you red line now that he's, having to travel, going to another tournament? What's that form going to be? And Tiafoe not only having to travel, but Kecmanovic is tough. I mean, that's just a tough all-surface player. And I don't really like that matchup. So I think it's good. Hey, I think that's the way to go. We had a couple comments there, and Fees Griekspoor, that was another one. Griekspoor lost the final to Darderi yesterday. Yeah. Arthur Fees is one of the next gen guys people are buzzing about. We'll see on the clay and as he gets back to French soil. But any love on that one for Fees over Griekspoor?
I'm a huge fan of Fees. Anyone who's watched the shows, I've had the pleasure to see him live. I think he's a player that's destined to the top. I think he's a Grand Slam champion. I think he's a top 10 player. My only concern about that is obviously the slowness of the court. I think it's quite slow. I think he won it quicker. He's obviously a big server. He's a big hitter. But if he can hit through the court, and the weather's going to be quite nice as the week goes on. So if the weather gets a bit hotter, obviously it'll play a bit quicker. So I think he needs everything to go for him. Griekspoor's, he's a fake come through to the last one. But similarly, Feast v Griekspoor just looks to me like a massive over games, like over 22 and a half. That is a tie break set number 1 for sure. So if you're looking at the over line, I think the over line would be the bet for me there. But I looked at that match and thought, potentially. But I slightly worry about it. And also, I know this is would you consider Monte Carlo a home tournament for the French players? Would you consider it? Or the Italian players? No,
I wouldn't. I'd almost go one further. It's almost more of a home tournament for the Italians in a lot of ways.
It is more. But the French do get. I went to a Yannick Sinner here match last year, and it was like being at the AC Milan derby. It was like a wild affair. But I don't trust. Well, I don't trust French players in France. I think they either rise to you look at French players at the French Open, they have a really, really bad record. Yannick Noah many years back. But I just think to myself that there was a lot of pressure on them to do well in their home country. And they're such an emerging talent in terms of the players they have coming through in the top 100 in the world, the French. And I just don't trust them. So I'm not saying that I don't trust the French people. I don't trust them betting them at minus money.
No, we understand. Yeah, there's a lot of French players to choose from. There's depth on the tour, but who's going to step up and who's going to make a move? And you're right about the odds adjustments. Stefanos Tsitsipas, 3-time champion. I remember looking at his price to win RG before Monte Carlo, and then he wins the tournament, and it just goes completely straight down. So,
he was 33-1 to win this tournament last year, and I bet him last year. I bet him at 30. This time around, he's 7-1.
Also, shout out, you were mentioning too, Sean Calvert, handicapper, having a great day today. We'll see. It could be an all-time day, one of them, if Khachanov wins here.
Well, he's got a break point. Before we head off the show, there's lots more action heading across to the Bet Rivers website. We're currently on juice here on the Khachanov serve. It's 4-3 to Medvedev, but it's 3-4 obviously on the Khachanov serve juice. I think if Khachanov holds his serve here, he'll break Medvedev and win the match. That's my bold statement. If he doesn't, then no bet on. But I think if he breaks him here and you can get even money or bigger, then we're on the Khachanov bet.
And that's why tennis betting is the best. That's why everyone needs to download the Bet Rivers app, because there's so many matches from dusk till dawn, as they say. And then the live angle is crazy. 5 minutes ago, Khachanov was plus 400. And he just breaks back, and now we're in a dogfight.
Well, about half an hour before you joined us live, it was 66-1. It was like it was set down and 4-1 down with the physio on. Now he's on the verge of being favourite, but Medvedev has a break point here as well, so we'll see what happens.
It's going to be a fun night in Monte Carlo again. Just props to everybody. This show is going to take off, and we're going to get a chance to hear the music nonstop too. So I'm going to get my steps in.
And there's going to be some better ones. There's going to be some better ones. You'll have to have your 1980s, you have your space hoppers, your 90s gear, your various different music for that dance tone. Tomorrow, you're on tomorrow with Dustin Fox.
I am on tomorrow with Dustin Fox, one of my good friends out here as well. It's going to be great. Nigel, awesome work. Remember, we can follow on Because We Win socials, whether it's the X account, YouTube, Instagram. Watch us live at 1 o'clock Eastern time in the States. Go to Bet Rivers and download the app, right? Because we got tons of opportunities to bet on tennis, get involved, and point to point, as we've seen, it changes. So there's always a perfect time to get in on the action.
It's always good. And I'm so glad. I'm glad, obviously, we're doing this show. I'm glad I'm working with you, Mitch, but I'm so glad we come on with a competitive match. I was so worried that we'll have a match that was going to be like minus 1,050 to 1. But we've got a competitive match, Medvedev, Khachanov. We're going to go off air in a minute, but this will continue. So make sure you download the Bet Rivers app, have a little bit on that. And hopefully Khachanov can stave this break point number 2. Hopefully he can get rid and get the job done. But it's been great. And fade those players tomorrow who've had that long journey across.
Fade those players tomorrow. Check out, remember, the Daily Double. It's going to be fun as well. And 1 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Wednesday, we'll be on Monte Carlo the next 2 days. You never know. It could look slow, but it could end up being a competitive match. So for everybody that was a part of this show, for our great production team at Bet Rivers, obviously for Nigel Seeley, one of the best handicappers in the game, I'm Mitch Michals. This was Betting Weekly Tennis Live. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Enjoy the tennis. Download the Bet Rivers app and have some fun. Enjoy the day of tennis, everyone.
Thanks, Mitch. Good luck, guys.